Good evening and welcome to TC Network. I am Tingley Kim Hokip bringing you today's news. Today's top headlines include: Go-to urges Government of India to unbolt the gates of justice after 18 months of injustice. 23 dead as bus falls in Uttarakhand Gors. Rupees 4 lakh ex gratia announced. News in details. On the solemn occasion of the 18th Remembrance Day observance, the Kuki-Zo community called on the central government to unbolt the gates of justice after 17 long months of enduring what they consider to be profound injustice. Expressing deep disappointment over what it describes as the central government's deliberate delay in delivering justice to the Kuki-Zo community, Committee on Tribal Unity (KOTU) General Secretary Lamminlun Singsit stated, "We seek justice in the form of a union territory with a legislature, nothing less and nothing more, as a step towards self-determination and lasting peace. Justice lies in granting a union territory with legislature, and it is the only path for lasting peace, as justice precedes peace," asserted Singsit. "The justice we seek is the culmination of a prolonged struggle against oppression," Singsit emphasized, pointing to issues such as discriminatory employment practices, resource misallocation, diversion of funds, and constitutional breaches compounded by land seizures and oppressive policies under what he calls the current majoritarian Meitei government. Painting a vivid picture of the Kuki-Zo community that feels relegated to second-class citizenships in Manipur, Singsit asserted that the Kuki-Zo people, despite their equal status as Indian citizens, face persistent discrimination from the majority community. He argued that this situation mirrors the historical conflict between former West and East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, underscoring the urgency for fair governance and justice. On this somber occasion, as we reflect on a history of deep-rooted injustices inflicted both in the valleys and hills, where countless innocent lives have been lost in pursuit of justice, the Kuki-Zo people stand in shock and deep dismay over the central government's deliberate delay in addressing our rightful demand for separate administration, a union territory with legislature, he said. "It is the central government's responsibility to protect and uplift the vulnerable Kuki-Zo minority from the cycle of false narratives and policies crafted by the current state administration," Singsit maintained, urging the government to prioritize justice over political expediency to resolve the ongoing conflict. As the Kuki-Zo community commemorated the 18th Remembrance Day, Singsit remarked, "We mourn not only the past but also the ongoing realities of subjugation and discrimination under the current regime." The commemoration of the 18th Remembrance Day at Martyr Cemetery in Paizang, Sadar Hills, Kangpopi district was marked by mourning, a gun salute, floral tributes, condolences, and prayers. Prominent Kuki-Zo leaders and various civil society organizations, along with KOTU executives and department leaders, attended the solemn observance.
The Kuki-Zo people stands in shock and dismay at the central government deliberate delay in the fulfilling our rightful demand for separate administration, a union territory with its own legislature. On this 18th Remembrance Day, we confront the painful legacy of historical injustice inflicted upon us, marginalization and violations of constitutional rights under Meitei-dominated administrations. We are treated as a second-class citizens in our own homeland, enduring treatment harsher than the hostilities between the former West and East Pakistan. We call upon the central government to fulfill its duty to protect the vulnerable Kuki-Zo minority from relentless state bias and manipulative narratives. Let justice prevail over political convenience, for only through justice can lasting peace be achieved. We urge the central government to open the gates of justice, the justice that we demand in the form of Union Territory with legislation as we observe this 18th Remembrance Day today.
While business establishments remain closed for the day in respect for the observance, unlike previous years, vehicular movement along the national highway was not disrupted. In a major development, Manipur police apprehended an Arambay Tengol member, a 30-year-old Khulem Sanjeev, also known as Bhim, a resident of Nauremthong, DC Road, on Sunday for his alleged involvement in the recent assault of two Naga youths from Senapati district. The incident occurred on October 31st in the Lamsang area of Imphal West district. Following his arrest, Sanjeev has been remanded to police custody for further investigation, Manipur police said. The arrest follows a 24-hour shutdown in Senapati district organized by the Naga People's Organization and frontal civil bodies such as Senapati District Women Association and Senapati District Students Association of the Naga district in protest against the assault. Earlier on Friday, Manipur police also detained Senjam Suras Meitei, a 25-year-old son of S. Nilal Komol Meitei and an alleged cadre of the proscribed Kangleipak Communist Party, in connection with the assault and looting of the two youths. Several local organizations have condemned the attack, urging authorities to take swift and strict action against those involved. Following the incident of robbery and physical assault on the two Paumay youths, the Senapati District Civil Organization enforced an immediate 24-hour shutdown starting from 4 p.m. on November 2, restricting all commercial vehicular traffic beyond Senapati District headquarters. Approximately 100 loaded trucks, including army vehicles, were stranded near the Mauget Boulder town as part of the protest. The Taragi Chaisu and an advisory body has condemned the brutal assault and robbery of two individuals from the Paumay tribe by unidentified miscreants. The incident, which occurred in Imphal West, involved the theft of over Rs 60,000 from the Naga victims. The 24-hour shutdown that began at 4 p.m. on Saturday concluded peacefully at 4 p.m. on Sunday, with no reported incidents during the ban. As the district frontal organizations continue to advocate for the rights and protection of their community, they announced an indefinite restriction on commercial vehicular movement beyond the Senapati headquarters. They call for continued public support as they pursue their democratic agitation. It is worth mentioning the Arambay Tengol, in a notice issued on Thursday following the incident, had denied any involvement of its Unit 18 on the October 30 episode. The Arambay Tengol maintained that they, upon identifying the duo as Paumay Naga from Senapati, were let go without any harm. It also alleged that KCP Ibungo Ngangom members are responsible. The Naga People's Front writes to the Chief Minister of Manipur bearing the subject 24-hour shutdown effective from 4 p.m. of November 2, 2024, followed by restriction of all commercial vehicle traffic movement beyond the Senapati District headquarters. The letter states that the Senapati District Frontal Organization wishes to bring to the attention of the Chief Minister about the ongoing distress faced by the Naga community due to continued harassment and extortion which has persisted since the onset of the ethnic conflict. The letter states how the Naga community has endured severe hardship since long, and most recently, an alarming incident has intensified these challenges. Two individuals, namely V. Rangal Bleson, son of El Vainao of Kodom Kulen village, and Dalo, son of Rini of Liyai Kulen village, were targeted in an attempt to murder and extorted a sum of Rs 61,400 at gunpoint with sophisticated weapons. Despite the gravity of this incident, there has been no attempt by the responsible civil society organization representing the involved community to mediate or redress the issue. Furthermore, the victims are well aware of the parties involved. However, the culprits are attempting to feign ignorance. Our patient has been tested and we are left with no options but to take steps to protect our people and maintain peace and harmony within our district, the Naga People Front letter stated. Therefore, we are compelled to implement a restriction on all commercial vehicular traffic movement beyond Senapati District Headquarters. Additionally, we may intensify our stance with further measures if deemed necessary, reads the release. Manipur police successfully apprehended 5 cadres of the Kangleipak Communist Party People's War Group KCP PWZ from Charangpat Mayay Lekay in Thoubal District. The arrested individuals have been identified as Thokchom Bikram Singh, 29, Sinam Bijen Singh, 37, Thangzam Dipak Singh, 30, Lamba Mayum Naubi Singh, 26, Huining Sumbam Ton Singh, 21. These individuals were allegedly involved in a series of criminal activities including abduction and extortion. During the operation, the police seized the following items from the arrested cadres: 136 high-C hand grenade, 2 demand letters issued by the KCP PWZ, 5 mobile handsets, 13 SIM cards, 1 four-wheeler vehicle. The police are currently investigating the matter further to uncover the full extent of the group's activities. On November 2, Manipur police apprehended a member of the insurgent group People's Revolutionary Party of Kangleipak, Pripak Pro, in the Kumbi area of Bisnupur district. The individual, identified as 32-year-old Nongmai Thim Gunamani, also known as Alu, has reportedly been involved in a series of extortion activities in the region. During the arrest, law enforcement officers seized several items including a 36-type hand grenade, a two-wheeler and a mobile phone. In response to ongoing security concerns, joint operations by police and security forces were intensified, focusing on vulnerable hill and valley districts. These operations include intensive search missions and area control efforts to mitigate insurgency threats and maintain stability. In addition to these efforts, the authorities ensure the safe passage of 309 vehicles carrying essential supplies along Manipur major highways, National Highway 37 and 2, amid heightened security. Vulnerable segments along these roads have been closely monitored, with security convoys deployed to prevent disruptions and ensure the secure movement of goods. Manipur police further implemented a network of 110 checkpoints or nakas across various districts, including both hill and valley regions. As part of the security operation, 9 individuals were detained for alleged violations, emphasizing the state's commitment to maintaining order and ensuring the safety of its residents amid heightened tensions. A sub-inspector of police was shot dead allegedly by a constable with his service rifle in Manipur's Jiribam district on Saturday, an officer said. Sub-Inspector Shah Jahan was shot dead from point-blank range, allegedly by Constable Bikramjit in the Mongbong area of the district, and an investigation is on, the officer said. Preliminary reports said that Shah Jahan had a verbal altercation with Bikramjit on Saturday. The constable has been arrested, the officer added. The Kuki-Zo Saikul Gamkai is constrained to issue this clarification regarding the news circulated in social media by online Manipur News, which made false and fabricated reports about Saikul and some of its leaders. There is no extortion and monetary demands made by KNF to businessmen, commercial establishments, and individuals so far in Saikul area. The news reported by the fake news channel is completely baseless and unfounded. There is no person by the name of drug lord Lun Khohau Haupulupeng of Makokching, Song Peezang village taking over the reins of the KLA. The KLA is a signatory of SOO. Anything related with the organization, including chains of leadership, if at all, may be authenticated by the records maintained by concerned government agencies that are monitoring the SO groups. The land and paddy fields of Ikaw and Ying Human are all in the safe hand of Kuki-Zo Saikul Gamkai. The purchase of the land and paddy fields of Ikaw and Yinghuman by one individual, Mr. Lun Ho, Elias Hopu Lupeng, as reported by the news channel, is totally wrong and baseless. All Kuki-UGs are under SO group and operating strictly within the parameters of SO ground rules. There is no question of KNF cadres intruding or operating in Saikul area. The news reported by the so-called online Manipur news channels are all lies, fabricated and fake. It is merely an attempt to depict the Kuki-Zo people of Saikul area, Kangpopi district, in the wrong way. Reporting news without proper verification is against press media ethics. The KISG therefore condemns such baseless and unfounded allegation perpetrated by the Meitei-centric news channel and strongly warned the news channel to abide by the ethics of journalism and to stop reporting unverified news in the future. The Kuki Students Organization More Block hereby inform to all the students of More Town and surrounding villages under More Block, Tingnopal District that the Kuki Students Organization More Block has announced a student curfew from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. effective from 5th November 2024 Tuesday until the end of final examination to support students as final examination is approaching and for preparation for final examination. This measure is in place to support students in focusing on their studies and achieving a quality education for a bright career. The public is requested to avoid creating noise pollutions during study hours to maintain a peaceful environment. Students are reminded that they are the future pillars of the nation and this period of focus is crucial for their success. Please note that KSO More Block will be monitoring compliance throughout all areas of More Town and surrounding villages under More Block, Tingnopal District, states the release. Notification for recruitment in General Administration Department Manipur. Applications are invited for Secretariat Assistant and Driver positions. Total number of posts available under Secretariat Assistant includes 75 posts, ST quota 22, and salary starting from Rs 12,750. Eligibility for the assistant post is graduate with computer knowledge CCC certificate. For the driver post, there are 8 posts available with 3 ST quota. Eligibility for the assistant post is graduate with computer knowledge CCC certificate. For the driver post, there are 8 posts available with 3 ST quota and salary starting from Rs 9,950 and eligibility is matriculate with 5 years light vehicle driving experience. Last date to apply for both the posts is November 6, 2024. District Hospital, the largest hospital in town, Casualty Department monthly report is provided as follows. This year, 8 rape cases were reported until October 2024. The number of rape cases reported each month were January 1, February 3, March 1, May 1, October 2. 347 cases were related to accidents and trauma care. Total patients who visited the casualty ward in October is 2,235. 154 dog bites were recorded this month as per the casualty department data. 10 persons were admitted due to overdose. Poisoning cases 23, burn cases 12, and 2 patients were reported dead. Referral cases to other hospitals were 9 and 7 emergency cases were reported this month. 659 patients got admitted this month. The report highlights a concerning rise in rape cases this year compared to last year. The data also shows a significant number of dog bite cases, accidents, and trauma cases. The hospital has referred 9 cases to other facilities and managed 659 admissions. At least 11 people were injured in a terror attack on Sunday market in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. 2 women were among the 11 civilians injured when terrorists threw a grenade towards a CRPF bunker near a crowded flea market in the heart of the city. The attack, which took place near the heavily guarded tourist reception center, comes a day after a top Pakistani commander of Lashkar-e-Taiba (LET) was eliminated by security forces in the Khanyar locality of downtown Srinagar. Police and paramilitary forces have been rushed to the spot to evacuate the injured and launch a search operation to track the terrorists, officials said. The explosion caused panic in the area and sent shoppers scrambling for cover. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah described today's attack as deeply disturbing and said that those responsible for people's security must do everything possible to end this part of attacks. The last few days have been dominated by headlines of attacks and encounters in parts of the valley. Today's news of a grenade attack on innocent shoppers at Sunday market in Srinagar is deeply disturbing. There can be no justice for targeting innocent civilians, Abdullah posted on X. In a huge achievement for the security forces, a top Pakistani commander of the banned Lashkar-e-Taiba LET outfit and 2 other terrorists were killed in 2 separate encounters in Jammu and Kashmir's Srinagar and Anantnag districts on November 2, officials said. The LET commander, identified as Usman, was active in the valley for several years and was also involved in the killing of Inspector Masroor Wani, a senior police officer said. This was the first encounter in Srinagar in more than 2 years. The last one took place in September 2022 at Nogam. 2 local terrorists of Ansar Ghazwat ul Hind AGUH were killed in the encounter. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on November 2 said, compared to earlier times, the number of terrorist attacks has decreased significantly in Jammu and Kashmir. Singh said security forces are vigilant in Jammu and Kashmir and terrorism would be completely eradicated from the region. A bus fell into a deep gorge in Uttarakhand's Almora district on Monday, killing 23 of the 40 people on board and injuring 15. While 22 people died on the spot, 1 succumbed to injuries while being taken to a hospital in Ramnagar, Almora's district disaster management officer Vinit Pal told PTI. The bus was going from Garhwal to Kumaon when the accident took place at Marchula in Almora, District Magistrate Alok Kumar Pandey said. So far, 7 deaths have been reported, he said. The casualties may go up as there were around 40 passengers in the bus when it fell into a 200-meter deep gorge, Pandey said. Police and SDRF personnel have reached the spot to launch a search and rescue operation, he said. Chief Minister Puskar Singh Dhami expressed grief at the loss of lives in the accident. Received very sad news of casualties of passengers in the unfortunate bus accident that took place in Marchula of Almora district. The district administration has been instructed to conduct relief and rescue operations swiftly, he said on X. The local administration and SDRF teams are working swiftly to evacuate the injured and take them to the nearest health center for treatment. Instructions have also been given to airlift the seriously injured passengers if required, he said. Ruby Singh, a Canadian minister, claims that Home Minister Amit Shah had ordered the targeting of Khalistani extremists in the country. India has termed them absurd and baseless and said a Canadian diplomat had been summoned. Canada's Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister David Morrison had met the allegations while addressing members of the country's Standing Committee on Public Safety and National Security on Tuesday. Replying to a question on Saturday, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said our representatives of the Canadian High Commission had been summoned on Friday and a diplomatic note was handed over. It was conveyed in the note that the government of India protests in the strongest terms to the absurd and baseless references made to the Union Home Minister of India before the committee by Deputy Minister David Morrison, Jaiswal said. Canada has admitted that its officials leaked sensitive information to the Washington Post, and the Ministry of External Affairs warned that such actions will have serious consequences for ties between India and Canada. In fact, the revelation that high Canadian officials deliberately leak unfounded insinuations to the international media as part of a conscious strategy to discredit India and influence other nations only confirms the view of the government of India has long held about the current Canadian government's political agenda and behavioral pattern. Such irresponsible actions will have serious consequences for bilateral ties, the spokesperson said, responding to reports that Canada has named India as adversary alongside China, North Korea, Russia, and Iran in its national cyber threat assessment. Jaiswal said this was another example of imputations being met without evidence. This appears to be another example of a Canadian strategy to attack India. As I mentioned earlier, their senior officials have openly confessed that they are seeking to manipulate global opinion against India. As on other occasions, imputations are met without any evidence, he said. The Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson also said some of India's consular officials were informed by the Canadian government that they have been under surveillance and called it a flagrant violation of diplomatic conventions. He also made it clear that New Delhi sees the action as a form of harassment and intimidation. Some of our consular officials were recently informed by the Canadian government that they have been and continue to be under audio and video surveillance. Their communications have also been intercepted. We have formally protested to the Canadian government as we deem these actions to be a flagrant violation of relevant diplomatic and consular conventions, Jaiswal said. By citing technicalities, the Canadian government cannot justify the fact that it is indulging in harassment and intimidation. Our diplomatic and consular personnel are already functioning in an environment of extremism and violence. This action of the Canadian government aggravates the situation and is incompatible with established diplomatic norms and practices, he asserted. In the Khanayar area of Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, security forces killed Usman, the commander of the terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba, in an encounter. The killing of terrorist Usman was made possible by precise planning, which took 9 hours to execute, and the crucial role of biscuits. Kashmir Police Director General IGP V.K. Birdi said that on Saturday, in an encounter with security forces in the Khanayar area of Srinagar, a high-profile terrorist was killed. IGP V.K. Birdi said that the security forces killed a terrorist identified as Usman, who was the commander of LET. During the encounter, 4 security personnel were injured. He was a foreign terrorist and had a role in the murder of Inspector Masroor. And further investigation is underway. The joint force of local police and Central Reserve Police Force was involved in the anti-terror operation. Usman was well aware of the valley's terrain. Officials said that when intelligence information was received that Usman was present in the residential area, a 9-hour strategy was planned to execute the operation without any harm. The presence of stray dogs in the area was a major concern, as it was estimated that the barking of these dogs could alert the terrorists. To calm the stray dogs, biscuits were given to the search teams. The entire deployment was done before the morning prayers, in which the security forces had surrounded a group of 30 houses. Usman was equipped with an AK-47, a pistol, and several grenades. He engaged in a fierce gun battle with the security forces. After several hours of intense firing, Usman was killed. 4 security personnel were also injured in the encounter. It is worth noting that Usman had played a key role in several terrorist attacks since the beginning of the 2000s. After spending some time in Pakistan, he infiltrated the region again in 2016-17 and was involved in the murder of Police Inspector Masroor Wani last year. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has vowed that Israel and the US would face a teeth-breaking response for their actions against Iran and the resistant front, according to a statement on his official website. Speaking to students in Tehran on Saturday, Khamenei warned that both Israel and its primary supporter, the US, would be punished for their military action against Iran and resistant groups in West Asia, Xinhua News Agency reported. The enemies will undoubtedly receive a teeth-breaking response, he said. He added that Iran was fully prepared with military, political, and logistical measures to counter global arrogance, a term Iranian officials use to refer to the US and its allies. Khamenei also urged the Iranian people to fight against the global arrogance decisively without hesitation. Referring to recent Israeli strikes on Gaza and Lebanon, Khamenei argued that US support for these attacks exposed the hypocrisy of American human rights claims. The Israel Defense Forces announced last week that it conducted precise and targeted airstrikes on targets in Iran in response to recent attacks from the country. Iran's air defense headquarters said it successfully countered the Israeli attacks, which resulted in only limited damage. Iran and Israel have long been enemies, a rivalry that deepened following Hamas attacks of October 7 last year and the subsequent Israeli invasion of Gaza. Israel has been battling Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and overnight, at least 19 people were injured in the central Israeli city of Tyre after projectiles were launched over the border. Khamenei's remarks come a week after Israel's latest round of strikes on Iran in response to Islamic Republic's October 1 missile attack on the Jewish state, which itself was a response to the Israeli killing of leaders from Hamas and Hezbollah. The Israeli military abducted who it said was a senior Hezbollah official in an unprecedented operation on Saturday morning, during which Israeli commandos landed on the shores of Batron, northern Lebanon, captured the alleged official, and escaped via speedboat. In a statement, an Israeli military official said its forces captured a senior operative of Hezbollah and transferred him to its territory to be investigated by military intelligence. The media outlets Axios cited Israeli sources as saying the captured man, Imad Amhaz, was responsible for Hezbollah's naval operations. Lebanon's caretaker Minister of Transport, Ali Hamid, said that Amhaz was a civilian boat captain, while Hezbollah did not comment on allegations that he belonged to the organization. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Nazib Mikati said Lebanon would be submitting a complaint to the UN Security Council and that he had asked Lebanon's military and the UN's peacekeeping mission to investigate the incident. The Israeli naval raid was a first of its kind, with Israeli soldiers landing in northern Lebanon, an area unaffiliated with Hezbollah and almost 100 miles from the Lebanon-Israel border. An unidentified military force carried out a landing operation on the beach of Bahron and moved to a chalet near the beach, where it kidnapped the citizen Imad Amhaz and left by speedboats to the open sea, Lebanon's national news agency reported. Surveillance footage of the incident showed a man with his hands pinned behind his back being led by a column of soldiers. The IDF will continue to act wherever necessary to protect the state of Israel and its citizens, an Israeli military official said in a statement. The Lebanese Transport Minister Ali Hamid said that the abduction of Amhaz could be a violation of UN Resolution 1701, which is supposed to govern security dynamics between Israel and Lebanon after the 2006 war. The kidnapping of Amhaz took place 100 meters from his place of residence. If it is proven that the kidnapping took place via a naval landing, where is the implementation of Resolution 1701? Hamid said. Fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, which started on 8 October 2023 after the militant group launched rockets at Israel in solidarity with Hamas attack a day prior, has generally spared North Lebanon. All eyes are on the U.S. elections 2024. Ahead of the November 5 voting, former President Donald Trump is leading the predictions, especially in all 7 swing states, shows at last Intel's latest poll. About 49% of the respondents said they would vote for Donald Trump in the upcoming presidential election. The poll shows as the Republicans hold a 1.8% vote lead over his counterpart, Democrat Kamala Harris. The survey conducted on the first 2 days of November included nearly 2,500 likely voters in the U.S., the majority female. As the 2024 presidential elections head into its final days, the focus is on swing states, the battleground states which are the major deciders of the U.S. presidential election. Another survey of swing states has revealed that the Republican nominee is favored to win in all swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. In Arizona, Trump holds his widest margin with a 51.9% to 45.1% lead over Harris. In Nevada, when asked whom would people vote for in the upcoming presidential election, 51.4% of voters chose Trump, while 45.9% chose Harris. In North Carolina, Trump leads by 50.4% of votes, while Harris gets 46.8% of the votes here. In the U.S., presidential elections are set by three types of states: red states, blue states, and swing states. Red states are those where Republicans have consistently won since 1980, while blue states are where Democrats have dominated since 1992. These states are generally considered predictable in terms of their electoral outcomes. In swing states, the battle between Republicans and Democrats is often extremely close, with winners prevailing by tiny margins. For instance, in the 2020 presidential election, Joe Biden won Arizona by just 10,000 votes. A Reuters Ipsos poll published last week on October 29 showed Kamala Harris led over Donald Trump, with the Democrat ahead by a single percentage point over the Republican, 44% to 43%. Interestingly, while Harris has led Trump in every Reuters Ipsos poll of registered voters since she entered the race in July, her lead has steadily shrunk since late September. That is all for today's news, and have a pleasant evening ahead.